Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live Signing. I'm Danny Valdez, and with us today is home run hitting, baseball Hall of Famer, and now author and speaker, Darryl Strawberry. And he is here for the live signing of his new book, Turn Your Season Around, How God Transformed Your Life. Darryl, so excited, would never have dreamed when I was a kid that I would grow up to interview one of my childhood heroes. How are you today?
I'm doing great, but not baseball Hall of Famer, New York Mets Hall of Famer. I never
Okay.
made the baseball Hall of Fame, so I want to clear
Okay. Well,
that.
Baseball Hall of Fame nominee.
Nominee, yeah,
Now,
2004. So,
you're,
but
hey,
I'm doing,
it's,
but I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How you
yeah.
doing, Danny?
I'm doing so great in Nashville, and we're in with you. You're in St. Louis.
I'm in St. Louis. I'm at our church in Troy, Missouri, the church we go to, Journey Church. My wife's a pastor here. So I'm up here at the church doing this event. I didn't really want to do this at home because the dogs would be all over the place and they'd be barking like crazy. So
yeah. So for those of you who are watching online, for the next hour, Darryl is going to be signing books and answering as many of your questions as possible. And the questions I'm talking about, for those of you who don't know, whenever you purchase Darryl's autographed book, you have the opportunity to ask him a question that will come in to my iPad here, and I'm going to read that to him live, and he'll be able to answer your question. And if you've not yet purchased one of these books, you actually still have time to order an autographed copy and submit a question to Darryl. Just click over to premiercollectibles.com/strawberry to order your copy. So, Darryl, talk to me. Why did you write this book, and why now?
good question. And I really didn't want to write another book. I've already been in that process before, and I know how challenging it is. And I thought about it, and I didn't know it would be a pandemic when I started writing the book at the beginning of the year in 2020. But we ended up in it, and of course, the title, the Holy Spirit gave me the title, was like "Turn Your Season Around." Little did I know that every last one of us would have to walk into 2021 and would have to turn our season around.
Yeah.
This book is probably my best book, and it has somewhat to do with baseball because I use innings, 9 innings, and of course, turn your season around is like a baseball season. And I was kind of thinking about the people. I was just thinking about the reality of life, how we go through trials and tribulations and struggles during maybe 6 months of a season. You go through that, and then there's another 6 months left in the year before the year is out, and you can turn it around. It's just like a baseball game, but I use baseball analogies that you can go. Your first two at bats, you can go 0 for 2, but you can come up like in like the eighth inning, with the game on the line, and you can hit a big home run and win the game. So I always think about those kind of things, that people never give up, never quit. And I think this book will speak to them because this book has a lot to do with real life, with like baseball, playing a baseball game.
It's so good, man. I played sports as a kid too. I had my Darryl Strawberry baseball card at 100%. And baseball was one of my favorite sports I played. And you're absolutely right. Like, it's never too late. Like, it doesn't matter what season you're in. It is never too late. So I love that. I love that message, man.
Yeah, it's never too late for God to turn your season around, and never too late for you to believe that. I think so many of us don't believe that, and as we're going to talk today, you're here about me, and that's why writing this book. It's a book about faith. It's a book about, being transformed and being changed. Even though I had to go through a lot of things in life, and then I could have sat there and become a victim, but I decided I would be an overcomer, not a victim. And so many of us need to understand you could be an overcomer. You don't have to be a victim of what happens to us. Things happen. Some things are not fair. Some things we cause on ourselves. And I sure did. But look at me, old broken piece like me that God would take and put back together. And when you go through the Bible and understand, there's a lot of people that was in there that had the same kind of issues, But this book is like a book that will inspire people to say, "Hey, man, this guy did it. Why can't I do it?"
Oh, you're making me smile, man. Well, you talk about the sacrifice you made during your time on the Celebrity Apprentice. Can you share a little bit about that today?
Yeah, I was on the show, and the season with Bret Michaels, and who ended up winning that show. But there were some things behind the scene where I had to make a decision. Am I going to compromise, or am I going to move on, because you can compromise and stay there and be a part of what everybody else is doing. And I just knew it wasn't for me. My wife didn't want me going on the show for first thing, she thought it was just too many things to be going on behind the scenes. So I didn't fit in with it. And she was right. There were a lot of different things going on behind the scene, drinking and a lot of language. And, I wasn't drinking anymore at that time. And I was trying to stay in my lane doing who I am and what I'm doing. So I realized that I didn't want to compromise myself anymore. So we lost the task, and I didn't have anything to do with it. Michael Johnson was the project manager, and there it was, President Trump now, who was wasn't president at the time, but had the show, and I was on the show. And he goes, well, why do you want to get fired? Everybody in New York love you. You're doing great. And I was just like, well, I'm just a little tired, And he kept going around the table. So who should I fire? Who should I fire? And the project manager didn't want to get fired. I said, fire me. So eventually he said, you're fired. So I left, which was a good thing, because I didn't compromise myself into the situations, because temptations are real. And if you sit there and think you won't be tempted, you're only fooling yourself.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to fool myself anymore. I had fooled myself for a very long time, and I realized that I was a different person. So I needed to exit out and move on, for myself, to safeguard my life, my marriage, everything, my reputation and everything. So
yeah,
it's a big
man. I would add "got fired by Donald Trump" to my bio on my social media if Donald Trump fired me.
Well, you get fired. Somebody's got to get fired, So I took the heat. I took the heat for everybody else on a task that we lost. But eventually I came back to the show at the end, and then he invited me back, and I helped Brett Michaels win the show. And Brett gave me $25,000 for autism. And
wow,
Trump gave me $25,000 for my charity for autism, for coming back, for being a good sport.
Wow. So cool. Well, a lot of questions have come in from people who have bought your book. So you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right, let's go to Pete from Lakewood, California. And he says, in addition to the Bible, can you provide additional books that would support and encourage you in your new life?
Well, yeah, there's all kind of different books that can encourage you in your new life. It's just not, you can read the Bible, but the Bible is the most important book. But there are other books, you have some Billy Grahams, you have some good people like T.D. Jakes that have good books out there that encourage people. Tony Evans, and just a lot of good leaders who. Charles Stanley, I read a lot of devotion books and from those people, because they've been around. They understand how to grow in life, and they know that it's important for people that don't want to pick up the Bible sometimes, that could pick up other material that can encourage them and help them, because it has a lot of wisdom and knowledge from these guys. These guys are history and the foundation of what they've been doing, and they represent the gospel, and they represent change of life, which is so important. And I think that's what we all have to realize. You respect those people that are in front of you. Even Greg Laurie, who gave me a forward on my book, has a lot of books with information that can lead you down the right road. Jack Graham, I know a lot of different people, that can really help you with a lot of different devotion books.
Now, you've been signing these books, and that's one of the special things about what is here today is a signed copy of the book. Now, these are your real signatures, right? Like we're not playing, right? You're hand signing the books.
These are real signatures, yes. They come directly from me, and I sign them, and of course we send them off to people and wish them well, and wish them that the book will speak to them and hopefully encourage them. So, because I know a lot of people remember me from my baseball days and my trials and tribulations and what happened. And I nearly lost my life, with cancer, having cancer twice and losing my left kidney. I'm just kind of showing everybody, man, I'm such a miracle, from God. God kept me here to do his great work and love people. And, I'm no better than anybody else. I just made a commitment. And I just want people to know that making a commitment is far greater than you can ever imagine. And if you make that commitment to him, not to us, but to yourself and him, and have that relationship and let him pour into your life will be different. I'm sitting here with a different life because I made a commitment.
Let's go, bro. John from Madison says, thanks for all the great years on the field, and thanks for writing this book. I'm so excited to read it. What is your favorite moment as a Yankee?
Well, I would have to say winning, man. When you put on a
Yes.
baseball uniform, when you put on a baseball uniform, man, that's the gold. It's to win. I think a lot of times people play to make the money. The money's going to be there because it's always been there, but the winning part stays with you forever. And that's what's great about playing in New York and being able to play for the Yankees. I got a chance to win 3 times with the Yankees, and I was very fortunate because of the boss, George, gave me the opportunity to put on the pinstripe and wear the pinstripes and play for the Yankees. I'm forever grateful for him and his love that he has for people.
Forrest from Manorville, New York asked, do you consider yourself more a Met or a Yankee?
I consider myself a New Yorker more than anything.
Okay.
You know, I mean, just a New York guy who loves, in all honesty, I am a Met and I always will be because of my history with them and starting with them and growing up with them through the farm system and just becoming a player that I became, you know, through the development part of the Mets organization. So I'm forever grateful for that fact and forever grateful for playing in Queens and, you know, all the Met fans. They're wonderful people, and just hopefully they can get back into a place of like we were in the 80s, always in contention to win, you know, and I think that's important.
Yeah. My son is a sports fanatic. I mean, he loves football, but I mean, anything competition.
Football.
Yeah, I know. And I don't play. I've never even played football. But
No.
any highlight reel of anyone, like he has studied it, he's memorized it, he knows all about your highlight reel. I told him I was interviewing Darryl Strawberry. He goes, do you know how many home runs Darryl Strawberry has hit? Like he just went off. He's in the next room and he just wishes he could come in here right now. I won't let him. But it's so cool. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. George from Macomb, Michigan asks, who's the toughest pitcher you've ever faced?
The toughest pitcher I ever faced was Nolan Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Nolan Ryan was a different type of person. He had a different type of demeanor on the mound. And he just let you know you better get in the box and don't be digging in, you know, because if you dig in, he's probably going to throw one under here. They don't do a lot of that today, but, you know, back in those days, you know, Nolan is old school and, you know, he was always that great challenge, you know, the way he looked at you, stared at you, and just made it clear. Don't get too comfortable. He let you know, don't get too comfortable. You be up there with Nolan, you have happy feet, you know, make sure your feet keep moving. You know, don't be digging in and stuff, you know, and thank you all that, because he'll let you have it.
Yeah, Nolan will get in on that psychology as a pitcher.
Yes.
Yeah, man, he was ferocious, man. That's one of my favorite pitchers is Nolan Ryan. Vincent from Bradenton, Florida. Much is needed in regards to criminal justice reform. Sentencing guidelines vary state by state. Also, there's little to no preparation for release, like job training, housing, proper spiritual guidance. Men and women in prison for many years walk out into a different America. What can be done by the faith-based community to help with this? I believe criminal justice reform will come by the way of the church.
No question. That's a really good question there. It does come by the church. It comes by the church going inside behind the prison walls, sending members in there to help develop and educate the guys spiritually so they can have a foundation when they walk out. Because if you walk in there one way and you still walk out the same way, you have accomplished nothing. And I think if they can allow the church to be the foundation behind the walls and allow you to go in there and teach biblical principles, not worldly principles, because these guys already have done the worldly thing. They've already been in worldly situations and it didn't work. So if we can go in there and bring biblical principles and studies so guys can grow and learn who they are in Christ, they'll come out with a different identity. I think that's the most important thing about the prisons. You know, I do a lot of preaching in the prisons, and I love going back behind the walls because I ended up in prison myself once upon a time with a T-17, 169 because of addiction. I'm not afraid or ashamed to say that, you know, I was better than anybody else, but I shouldn't have never been in prison because of addiction, you know, and some of the laws has to change. People who have substance abuse problems, they should not be locked up. They need to go to long-term treatments. I don't care if it's 2 years, 3 years, whatever it takes to not put them behind the walls.
I love that. And I completely agree with you. William from North Prince, Georgia. What was the biggest difference playing for the Yankees than playing for the Mets?
Well, I think the organization, the Yankees was a more of a first-class organization. You put on the Yankee pinstripes, you become a part of the family. The Mets have a tendency of pushing players out. They only have certain players that they want to keep around and they want to parade around. They've never wanted to parade around players that had problems, but that played well, like myself and Doc Gooden, and they was just the organization that was different. The Yankee organization don't care about, people that have problems. They love people. And that's what, at the end of the day, that's what sports should always be about. If a guy plays for you and he's got problems, you still love him and care for him. And that's what I'm so grateful about with the Yankee organization.
Mark from the Bronx, obviously Shea Stadium is no more. What do you miss about the old stadium most? Do you have any favorite moments there? And what made the old place so great from a player's perspective?
The crowd. Crowds of people, the people is what make the ballpark great. Shea Stadium was an old stadium. It wasn't like one of the new stadiums that these guys are playing in today.
Yeah.
It was the crowds. It was the people coming to the ballpark. And I love the people at Shea Stadium because they were right down on top of you, and they were on top of you when you sucked and when you did good. and that's the good thing about it, playing in New York, because when you suck and they're going to let you know. And I used to love that when I used to run to the dugout and they'd be like, come on, man, you're sucking, and they know you got talent. They're like, you need to play better. And I love that about the fans and at Shea Stadium, and just be able to interact with them. I think it's so cool. I don't know if players do that enough anymore, but I know in our days we had a lot of fun with the fans.
Did you feel a connection because of that with the fans? Did you feel like you were there for them and with them?
No question about it. It was directly for them. Everything that I wanted to do and the way I wanted to perform was for them. It was not for the media. The media, all they're gonna do is criticize.
Right.
If you do well, if you don't do well, they always got to look something to say something is wrong when you're going through the media playing in New York. But as far as the fans are amazing, man. I love playing baseball in New York because of the fans.
Yeah, that's so good. Michael from Arcadia, California. With everything you've experienced in your life, what has or is your feelings to those who question your sincerity and your belief in God? And how does God help you with this?
Well, you don't really worry about people. Listen, they talked about me when I was a heathen, Michael. Now they're going to talk about me because I love Jesus. Just get over it. They're going to talk about you anyway. So, you don't worry about it. You just continue to do what you've been called to do and move forward and love people. Because at the end of the day, Christ loved us first. So when you know him, he teaches you how to love people, regardless if your enemy has something to talk about. They said when I started this a little bit over 18 years ago, when I started on this journey with God and I was going to do ministry, a lot of the players I played with said, let's see how long he lasts doing this. Yeah, he's following God. But it's been 18 years and I haven't been back. And they're wondering, they're still looking at me and they're wondering, is it really real? Is he ever coming back? No, I'm never coming back. That's over. That's done. That's done. I've moved on. So don't worry about what people think about you. At the end of the day, it's what God thinks about you. And I think we get so consumed about what people think about us. But I learned my lesson to understand what God was thinking about me. I would never become the man I am today if I focus on what other people were thinking about me.
Brian from my hometown in Nashville asks, after the success was over, what happened to make you turn your life around?
Well, I think it was from my mother prayers. Mama was praying for me when I was a sinner, heathen, womanizer, alcoholic, drug addict, lost. She was praying for me. She passed away at the age of 55 from terminal breast cancer. And my sister, after she passed away right in front of us. After my sister found a journal under her bed, and her bed, she was praying to God and writing. She was praying about all her kids to find salvation, but she really prayed about me, that God would knock me off of my throne, my fame, and my privileged life, and save me. And it came to pass. That was one step that helped me. And then it was my wife, Tracy, who's my wife today, and who is amazing. When I was broken and I was lost, I was in the midst of addiction. She had 1 year clean. She's got 21 years clean. She never went back. and she had 1 year clean, and I was still in the midst of addiction. I was shooting dope, and I was smoking crack down in South Florida, and she was banging on doors and pulling me out of dope houses and saying, God's got a plan for your life. And I said, why don't you and that God just leave me here and let me die? She said, you're just not that lucky. And I was not that lucky. It was just an incredible time of my life that God would use two women, because I was a womanizer and I liked them. So guess what? God's got a great sense of humor. He uses two women to lead me to my greatest destiny and finding him and doing his great work. That's the incredible part of it when you can understand it. You know, it's never over. That's why I tell people, don't quit. Don't rely on somebody else, what they say. They said so many things about me and said I was done. And God elevated me right in front of all of them now. And they just sit and look. They don't really know what to say. Sports people don't know what to say about me because I'm totally different. I'm not a sports fanatic. I do love sports. I love my kids when they go to college and play sports and stuff like that. I travel around to see them. I may catch a game here and there, catch a little football playoffs, but I'm not crazy. I'm not glued to the television talking about I got to watch sports. I got to win some souls, man. There's some people out there that need to hear the good message and the good news that will get well. So don't ever let nobody dictate who you are, and for your life, because your life is important, and just remember that.
So good. Thank you for asking that, Brian.
Yeah.
Scott from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What was it like winning the World Series in 1986? What went through your mind when the ball went past Bill Buckner?
It was an incredible ride, because most people, poor Bill Buckner, and may he rest in peace, what a wonderful guy. And you think about it, that year was an incredible year for us, because when we went to spring training, day one, our first team meeting, our manager, Davey Johnson, came to us in the locker room, and he says, all I have to say is we're going to win it all. And we just kind of looked around at each other, and we just thought to ourselves, we're going to win it all. And from day one of spring training, we had that in our mindset that we were going to win it all. And then we stepped on the field and we went from there and we took it into the season. And when you go back and look at that season, we ran away with that division. And that was a good division, because the Cubs had won it in 84, the Cardinals won it in 85. They were the same team, but we just became a better team, because when we acquired Carter, we knew that we had something very special, because now we had a catcher who can hit with power that was right-handed, but also could call a game, because we had a rotation that needed to settle down, and bringing him over made a big difference in us, not just from a standpoint of a baseball team, but Carter was a great man, and he lived a great life, and his legacy was so different than all the rest of us. A lot of us were broken and lost, and him and Mookie Wilson was living this life of faith, and they were an example to, you can play sports and you can live a really healthy life. And I just was amazed of how Carter was and how Mookie Wilson was among all the heathens that we had on the team, that were broken and lost.
Yeah. And as a reminder for those of you just tuning in, you can get Darryl's limited edition autograph book, which includes our certificate of authenticity, which basically just shows you that he actually signed the book. It's not a rolled stamp. It's not printed at the press. His hand is physically cramping. Can a baseball legend's hand cramp? I don't know.
Yes, I will be signing them.
But he's signing these books, and you can get it at premiercollectibles.com/strawberry. So let's go to Joey in Scottsdale, Arizona. He asks, who were your greatest mentors on and off the field?
Well, I would say on the field, the example that I saw was like guys like Carter and Derek Jeter. I watched, who they were and what they did, and I really admired their life. Never saying anything bad about anybody. Jeter was just like a golden, wouldn't say a bad thing about anybody, and Carter either. And I was wondering, why was they so strong in that? Because when you play among sports, you got egos flying all over the place and personalities and people saying different things. And I was a little wild thing at the time, but wild inside of myself, because when somebody had something to say, I would always jump in their face, and I wish I could have had that kind of control like those guys had, because people said things about them and they controlled themselves. And I always admired that. And off the field, I would have to say the biggest impact on my life was my mother. My mother had a great impact on my life. And that's why I think I'm the man I am today, because she raised me right, you guys. She raised me right. I made a decision to do all the things that I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
I knew the fact that she raised me right and gave me the right principles. I just didn't want to follow them. And
Yeah.
she was a wonderful woman. She raised 5 kids by herself. My father was an alcoholic, and I just remember the last time he came home, and on one of his crazy nights, and I was about 14, and he came home, and we got up, and my older brother Michael told him, "Why don't you just get out and leave us alone?" And here is my sweet little mother. She was crying, and we went into action. We came close to my brother Ronnie, grabbed a butcher knife, and I grabbed a frying pan, and I was in the middle of a situation where we were about to kill my father, because he pulled out a shotgun, said he was going to kill the whole family. And my little sweet mother, she made us get out of that house. I mean, she looked at us and she just threw her finger up at us and said, "Get out."
Wow.
Because she knew that moment there, it's something was about to happen, and she saw it in our eyes and her boys. And from that day forward, she just released my father, that he could never come back to the house, because now you put my children in danger of doing something that could cost them.
Wow. But so that was the moment where she said no more, and it stayed that way?
That was the moment she said no more, and she never let him back in the house. She divorced him, and because she saw her boys react in a way that she never saw before.
Right.
And we were tired of it. We were fed up, and it was just like, the only person gonna die in here tonight is you.
Yeah.
And we were serious. I was 14, 15 years old, 16 years old. Me and my brothers was serious. We wasn't playing that night. We were dead serious about that.
Y'all were
And
done.
I always tell people, my pain led me to my greatness, but my greatness would eventually lead me to my destructive behavior. The uniform didn't make me well. The uniform made me a baseball player. And that's what people have to understand. Pain is real, and we don't really deal with pain to get the victory in our life. And we carry it for so many years. And I carried that throughout my whole baseball career.
Wow. Greg from Chicago, Illinois, what's your go-to verse when times are hard?
Psalms 46:10, "Be still and know that I'm God." It's just simple, because there are hard times. When the pandemic came, everything stopped. And I goes, "Lord, what do I do now?" I'm writing a book. He says, "Continue to write the book." But he says, you need to understand Psalms 46:10. What does it say? "Be still and know that I'm God." So I had to be still and just know that he is God. I just couldn't run around with anxiety and frustration, because there was nothing we can do. And I learned through that period. I went through that period of being still, and I got closer to God during the pandemic. I mean, the revelation of his word just came alive even more, because all I did was saturate myself once again in the word. I didn't get consumed with television. I didn't get consumed with social media. Yeah, we have all that, but I didn't want that stuff to dictate who I am. Too many people let that stuff dictate who they are and bring about frustration, because that's all it's going to bring about in your life is a bunch of frustrations. But if you stay close and you be still and know that he's God, and you know that he's doing something in your life, then you don't have to worry about being a part of that. So I think it's important for us as people to understand, the nation, that we live in today, the brokenness and the lawlessness is so real, and it's just running wild. And people, if you can just be still and stay connected to him, man, he is pretty cool. And I tell you, he's a pretty cool cat. I don't know what took me so long to hang out with him.
I hope you event planners watching know who you're going to be booking this year for your speaking. Darryl Strawberry, people. Let's go. Kelly from Gary, Illinois. I thought Gary was Indiana. Is there a Gary, Illinois?
Indiana.
All right.
Well, be.
Could be. Kelly asked, how did overcoming drugs and alcohol in the past help you overcome the trials of 2020?
Well, that was kind of the same thing. Like I said, being able to overcome drugs and alcohol was a very challenging thing. Addiction is very powerful, and you need help, and you need other people to help you. And when you understand that God is always going to do what he's always done, he's always going to use people to help people. And just like 2020, you know, God is using me to help people, to encourage people that your destiny is still waiting on you. Greatness is still on the other side of what 2020 was. But if you keep looking back at 2020, that's like 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, therefore, if anyone's in Christ, he's a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. You can never get to the new if you're still looking at the old. And I think so many people hold on to the old situations. And had I been holding on to the old situations, I could have never walked into the new. I get excited about God. I get excited about getting up every day and worshiping God and having this urgency inside of me every day to get up because he's going to do something new in me. And that's what you have to look at. That's what you have to believe. You have to come to that. It's about faith. It's about not seeing it. You know, it's about knowing that I'm going to do it because I have faith. And I think more people need to get to that place where you have faith, man, and stop looking at the circumstances, because the circumstances will pass if you operate in the faith that you believe.
Bobby from Seattle, Washington asks, when you first got started, how many titles did you think you and Dwight Gooden would win?
I thought we would win a lot of titles, not just because of me and Doc Gooden. I thought because of the players we had around us were incredible. But you got to realize too, if you don't take care of yourself physically, it's going to catch up to you. And you know, a lot of players have played a long time. You know, I played 17 years, but I had injuries. And physically, your body is going to start to break down. You know, there's a nightlife. There's a lot of things that go on with being a Major League Baseball player. All the temptations. Guys say, "Well, I don't get caught up into it." Man, it was only a few guys that I can count. There's only 2 guys that I saw that never got caught up into anything on the teams I was playing in my early years. And that was Gary Carter and Mookie Wilson. They would go out to dinner with us. And then after dinner, they would go back to the hotel and say, see you at the ballpark tomorrow. Where was the rest of us headed?
Yeah.
Out somewhere doing something, you know? Yeah. So, you know, it's like they never condemned us, you know, and said anything bad towards us. You know, they just let us live the life that we were living, but they were a prime example that you can live a different way. I think that's why I'm sitting here today living that way, because I wanted what they had, but I just didn't have the guts to go after it like they did.
Yeah. Paul from El Paso, Texas. Is there anyone from the Mets team who isn't already in the Hall of Fame that you think should be?
Well, I thought Hernandez should have been in there. He was a phenomenal player. He's one of the best first bases that you would ever see play the game. Him and Donnie Baseball, those two in New York, playing first base. I've never seen anybody so good with their hands like those 2 guys. And Hernandez, Keith was amazing, you know, around the first base. He can take the bunt from, if you got first and second and the guy's going to third, he could take the bunt from the third base side and get it and throw the guy out at third base. I've never seen nobody do that consistently.
Wow.
That's how good he was on his feet and how good he was with his hands and the knowledge that he had playing first base. So I thought he should have been, you know, in the Hall of Fame.
Matt from Denver, Colorado asks, who is your current favorite player, most underrated or even overrated?
I really don't know. I don't know a lot of the younger players, but I know the kid that's out in California with the Angels, Mike Trout. I think he's a phenomenal young player. He's got some tremendous talent all around, plays the game the right way, play hard. Is he going to win out there? Probably not, you know, but, you know, he's dedicated to the game and he's dedicated to California Angels. But he's one of those players that you look at and you go, yeah, he's got it. He knows what it's all about. And so I think that's really important, you know, when you understand that. But a lot of other players I don't really follow. I don't really see a lot of them. I just hear about a lot of them.
Yeah. Daniel from Orlando, Florida. What do you think about replays used in baseball?
I think it's terrible. I think if the umpire, back in the 80s when we played.
Talk about it.
If the umpire makes a play and a call, you got to live with it.
That's it.
That's just the way it is. You can't go to the instant replay. This is not football, you know, this is baseball, you know. So I mean, because they go to an instant replay when a guy slides, on second base, and I guess he missed the bag or something like that. They go back to have a play. That's unnecessary. It's part of the game. Umpires make a lot of great calls, and they miss some calls. And they're not bad. Did I chew a lot of umpires out? Yeah, because a lot of them were terrible. But at the same time, they're gonna give you some calls too. So I would stick with. Forget the instant replay. That's just like a waste of time. If it's a fair ball, he calls a fair ball, and he missed it. It's a fair. Oh well, the other team may win that ball game. But I know I get a point. It has to do with when you're in a situation and you got a no hitter going. You don't want to blow that. You don't want an umpire to make a bad call in a situation like that. And you can always get help. So I think they need to go back to helping each other instead of the instant replay.
100% agree. My grandfather schooled me in your ways. Don't even ask him about replays, because he will sit there and monologue and complain for like the next hour. He can't stand it. He comes from the old days of all sports where there was a human element. A man made a call, and that was the call, and that was the end of it.
You had to live with it.
You got to live with it. Yeah, you can't ask the robot to come in and help you make the call.
No.
I love that. Lewis from San Juan, if there is one player, living or dead, you wish you could have played with, who would that be?
Oh, that's a good one there. It's probably some good players. Mickey Mantle, I've heard a lot of great things about him. I got a chance to play with my heroes against two guys that I love, Dave Parker, the Cobra, and Pete Rose. Pete Rose was my favorite player. See, when I was growing up, and I got a chance to play with him when he played with the Reds.
Wow.
And he should be in the Hall of Fame. That's a shame they haven't put him in the Hall of Fame. And the exciting thing about Pete Rose was for me when I was watching baseball was Pete Rose was not the greatest player on the Cincinnati Reds back in those days when they were playing Big Red Machine and they were playing against the Dodgers I used to watch. And they have the game of the week on that Saturday, and all they talked about was Pete Rose. And they had all these great players, Johnny Bench, Perez, Goran Foster, all these guys, big players. But Pete Rose's uniform used to be dirty every game. So that's what I loved about baseball. I like this guy gets his uniform dirty.
Yeah.
And he didn't, when he got walked, he didn't walk down to first base. He sprinted down to first base. I've never seen a guy play like him. And his head first slide and all the things that he did on the baseball field. He was incredible.
Wow. Jordan from Sterling, Illinois asks, I've always been intrigued by the Strawberry Mims wristbands you use to wear with your photo and the strawberry background. You brought a different style and flair with your play. What role did that personality play in your ability and your confidence playing the game?
I think personality is important, just to be you. Like I said before, everybody's not going to like you. And that's just the way it is. I remember wearing the wristbands. I remember getting the high tops. I got the high tops because Eric Davis was my best friend, and he started wearing high tops because he rolled his ankle, and Nike made him some high tops. So I decided Nike make me some high tops. I want to be like my boy. It was just the style, but we played to win. We didn't play to show people up. We never were showboats. Flipping bats and throwing bats over shoulder. We didn't do that because that was kind of bush league. Back then in the 80s, if you did that, you getting drilled. You can expect you better expect next time up, somebody gonna stick one in your ribs because they didn't play around. That's just the way it was. So, you can have class about yourself, but play the game the right way and play it hard. And I think a lot of times we did, and when you see me hit that home run off of Nolan Ryan in the playoffs, I didn't flip a bat. I didn't walk around those bases. You saw how fast I got around those bases. Nolan Ryan don't play. He took a look at me as I came around third. After you looked at me, I was like, yeah, he's like, you better be running.
Yeah, I bet if he suspects you gloated even the least bit, he's going to stick you in the ribs on that next one, right?
Oh my God, he's gonna let you know. He's gonna throw it underneath you, or he's gonna drop you. He's gonna do something. That's just part of the game. What it was back in the 80s, like that.
Darryl, would love to jump to our 22 questions in 2 minutes. For those of you watching, these are just fun. Get to know you. What do you say?
Let's do it. It could be fun.
All right. Who would you like to have dinner with, past or present?
Probably Elvis, and Michael Jordan.
Nice. Which one? Game of Thrones or Stranger Things? Neither is acceptable as well.
Stranger Things, I know, right?
Yes. What's your favorite breakfast food?
Really, waffles.
Ooh.
That little egg waffles, where you can put in a toaster, where you can pop those out like that. I used to give those to my kids. They were their favorite because I had to make those every morning for my kids, like Jordan and Jade, because they wanted waffles. They wanted it soft with a lot of butter, and they wanted to watch Barney. So that was the everyday wake up before they went to school.
Yeah. Where I'm from in Memphis, we had a little something called chicken and waffles. I don't know if you've ever had that.
Chicken and waffles. Yeah, I know about chicken and waffles too. They have that in California.
Okay. Yeah. What's your favorite genre of music?
My favorite music? I really like gospel music. I'm into that today, more of a gospel type, feeling. Todd Delaney, Victory in Jesus, Michael W. Smith, Waymaker, songs like that. I wake up to songs like that. And I got some old school. Like Mississippi Choir. I like those old school songs too, because they give me that emotional part, when I need to feel that. So,
who was your idol growing up?
Pete Rose.
What is your favorite international cuisine?
I don't have one there. That's a good one, but I don't have one. I don't think.
What is your favorite candy bar?
Reese Cup.
Woo, agree. Do you have a favorite season?
A favorite season? I like the summer.
Do you have a favorite childhood memory?
Yeah, I do have great favorite childhood memories of me and my brothers all being able to play baseball together and growing up together. I thought that was pretty cool because I idolized my older brother, and he was all into sports, and then being able to have the opportunity to play together and play against each other. I played against my middle brother, and I kind of it was funny, and my sister and them laughed, because I hit a ball and he was playing center field and he just had to run. They said all you could see is the back of his cleats running after my ball. So,
do you have a favorite animal? Any pets?
Yeah, we have miniature greyhounds. We have two of them, Cato and Jack. I love them. They're very smart. They're very intelligent. And, we're very proud of who they are. They have, you build a door for them through the garage, and they go out and they know how to go out the door and use the restroom and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Dogs are very, very funny.
Yeah. You still look pretty fit. What is your go-to workout?
I don't really have any go-to workouts because I don't do a lot of workouts. I haven't worked out in almost 20 years now because, since retiring, I didn't want to get back in the gym. I had never wanted to lift weights again. I just removed myself from that. My wife tried to get me to go to the gym a couple of times, and I did. And I said, it's not for me. I can't do this anymore after years and years of doing this.
Well, where do those biceps come from?
I guess, from the times of playing ball and, working out and swinging the bat all the time and being on the ball field, I think made a difference in how my body looks now, So, I mean, I didn't tear it up. I mean, I had some injuries, but I didn't tear it up. I didn't have complete shoulder problems and, got some knee problems, but I had back problems. But, pretty much overall, I stayed healthy.
Yeah. What do you never leave home without?
Your phone.
Do you have a favorite superhero?
No superhero.
What's your favorite time of day? Morning, noon, night? Where are you at?
Nighttime, because I was a ball player. So guess what? We played every night. So you stay up late every night. And, I'm not a really morning person. My wife's a morning person. She's a 5:30 wake up. And by the time I wake up, it's like 9:10. And she's like, hi, hon. I was like, oh, gosh. You've been up and had like 12 cups of coffee, So I'm just getting up. I hate the morning. So the nighttime is really my favorite time.
Have you ever ridden in a hot air balloon? Who comes up with these questions?
No, I never thought of that. I've seen a lot of people in those before, but I that's a big risk. I don't know.
I'm right there with you. It says right in the Bible, "Lo, I am with you always."
I like height because I'm fly all the time, but being up in a place like that would scare me to death.
Yep, I'm not in. Do you have a favorite board game?
Checkers.
Yeah. What are your favorite pizza toppings?
Pepperoni, sausage, hamburger.
The man stuff.
Yeah, the man stuff. You know, the stuff that we don't need to eat all the time.
That's right. Do you have a favorite teacher?
Do I have a favorite teacher?
Yeah.
I probably had a couple favorite teachers. Yeah, back in high school. I think my teachers that were really good for me was my basketball coaches in high school. They taught me discipline because I remember when I got in trouble in class, you didn't get a chance to practice that day. You would run suicides all day long.
Oh yeah.
And that was no joke. You know, it's like the coach used to be like, he was like, I bet you won't screw up in that class again. I was like, yeah, I sure won't screw up in that class again. So, but that was a good teaching lesson, you know, because it brought a lot of discipline to me to be able to understand the importance of if you're going to do things, you got to do them the right way.
Mm-hmm. Do you like movie popcorn with or without butter?
With butter and salt.
Let's go. Who is your favorite author?
Billy Graham.
Who has impacted you the most? I think I already know this one.
Who has impacted me the most? You know, I would have to say it has to be my wife. You know, my wife Tracy, and my mother, and my kids. You know, I think they've had the greatest impact on me the most. Because there's the important things that I've learned in life is important. God is first, then my wife, then my kids. And my mother had always been in my life, and the impact that she had on me was to live right. She didn't give me, like, just because I'm raising 5 kids that you can live any old kind of way. It wasn't like that. Yeah. I remember when I used to walk in the house with that baseball hat on, I thought I was all that in a bag of chips. She used to turn and look at she about this little. She used to turn and look at me and say, boy, if you don't take that hat off your head, I'm going to knock it off your head in this house.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my goodness. So fun. Well, that's all the time we have. To order Darryl's limited edition autograph book, go to premiercollectibles.com/strawberry. And to be a part of the live signing experience with more of your favorite authors, follow Premier Collectibles on Instagram or Facebook. Darryl, where can people connect with you? Do you have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter?
I have an Instagram, Darryl Strawberry 18, and you can connect with our ministry page, findingyourway.com. And of course, let's go. Get the book, man. It's going to help you. Buy it for somebody. Somebody may be struggling, hurting, don't believe. Buy it for them so they can read it, so they can understand that God loves them and meets you right where you're at. If he takes a broken me, and he takes a Moses who had a speech impediment, and he takes a Jonah, he takes a Peter, all of them had issues. He could take you just like he take me, and he can use you. But you got to be persistent, and you got to surrender yourself to him. You got to give up a lot of stuff. But I'm grateful that I gave up a lot of stuff. And I came from the worldly things and the baseball and the fame and the fortune. I gave all that up. And I came into his plan. And it's far greater than anything that I could ever imagine. I just challenge you guys to be able to trust that process with him and walk it out with him, because he's got something great for you.
Darryl, I love your message and what you're doing so much. And from all of your friends who tuned in, from all of us at Premier Collectibles, we really appreciate you being here. This has been great.
Danny, thanks for having me, man. This has been fun. And to all you guys that tuned in, I love you. I'm praying for you. And the best is yet to come for you.
Let's go. Bye, everybody.
Hi.
I am sitting here with the one and only Jackie Chan, global superstar, and he is signing all of these books. Are your hands tired?
No, tired, but I'm happy.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm
really,
so
really
happy to hear that.
How do you feel?
Good. I'm excited. This is the first time I've done something like this before, a live signing.
Where do I want to go that I've never been?
Oh, we're thinking about, not thinking, we're putting it in motion. I'm gonna go to Indonesia on my Irresponsible tour this year. I'm excited about that, I've never been. And there's been a heavy demand for me there. So we're gonna go. We're gonna go to Indonesia and I'm gonna make people laugh in Indonesia. That's how I roll. How do you roll? I can't make this up. Wayne, you got your Indonesia pants? I decided it about a good 3 weeks ago. You'll see it on the schedule soon, so I suggest you go get your pants for Indonesia, because you're not going to wear them stupid pants. Where do you think Indonesia is? India. Yes, we out.
You can see that I'm signing it. This is not some machine scribbling my name. This is my actual human body scribbling my name. So, all right, there we go. First book, signed.
Biggest pet peeve? Men that talk to me with spinach in their teeth.
What can I do while at work to help lower my stress and improve my health?
One musician do you most admire?
I love you all, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Much love. See ya.
See you soon, everybody. Bye. Bye.
We'll see you around the world. Woo!
Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone here.
Bye, guys.
Say goodbye, Mary.
See you in the morning.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna go get drunk.